Hello, Troy Kemp and Drew McAlister, otherwise known as McAlister Kemp. I'm very, very happy to be speaking to you both. Welcome.
Hey.
Hey.
Sophie.
Drew, you're on the road. Troy, you're not in Nashville as I thought. You're actually in Newcastle, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Sure for everyone who knows you because you've been away for a while, but I'm actually going to start right into it with your new song, which is After the Breakdown. Such a great song, a McAlister Kemp song. So your fans, I'm sure, are very, very happy because it's your first song in 7 years. What has the reaction been like?
It's been really good, very positive. So it has been quite a while since we released new music. This song was the very first song we wrote when we reconnected, actually. Troy came to my place and we sat down there in the kitchen and we started talking about stuff, and it was really cool because we started talking about some friends of ours who were going through quite a difficult time. Right. And then us reconnecting, it seemed really fitting to come up with that song, and I think people are responding to it. It's about coming out the end of something that probably wasn't so nice, and there being hope beyond the horizon, and a new life and something better. And I think a lot of people are feeling that, especially during this whole COVID thing.
Yeah, I mean, lyrically and tonally, it is a bit different to some of your early material. It's not that you didn't have more serious songs before, but I think a lot of people, when they think of your songs, they would think of, cranking up the stereo, having a great time, all of which is completely wonderful because we all want to be entertained, and McAlister Kemp are hugely entertaining. But I was wondering, Troy, perhaps if you could answer this, if it was a conscious change in direction or if this is just how the song came out, that it was a little more serious.
I mean, I think like Drew said, we're just, because we're in that frame of mind, sitting down and chatting that day about our friends and obviously our own situation. And I guess we just got into that mood, we were just talking about how do you move on after a tragedy or some sort of breakdown in your life. And I didn't even go to Drew's house to write a song that day. We're just going to get together, have a chat and drink some beer, and it just fell out. So we grabbed our guitars and started writing some stuff down. But like you said, Soph, like over the years that we were together, we always tried to write those songs that connected with people with those themes of the hardworking guy working for his family and the stuff that people could connect with on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. But we also tried to put in all those fun songs like Hell Yeah and Country Proud and all those fist pumping songs as well. So we always tried to have a good mix, so we just feel like that, I guess After the Breakdown isn't too far removed from some of those songs like All Kinds of Tough and It Don't Buy You Love and those types of themes. But we have been working on a full album, and there'll be some party songs in there as well, which people like to expect from us as well. So don't get too disheartened by it. We're just quite surprised because I think we've just got a sound about us. We haven't sung together for 7 years, and as soon as we get together, it just sounds like McAlister Kemp. It's quite wild.
I'm not at all disheartened. I've got to tell you, it was great. And I think one thing that's common to your whole catalogue really is that you're really clear communicators. So whatever the concept of the song is, like whether it is a party song or whether it's a song about living on the land or this latest song, the message is really, really clear. And so I think that always comes from an intention to want to connect with your audience. And that comes from a sense of knowing who your audience is. So I guess, Drew, a question for you: does your audience communicate with you quite regularly?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're on social media, they're, quite engaging, and we're engaging with them as well. We've got a very loyal fan base. We've got, back when we split up, we had kids in the audience. They were babies. They've now grown up. And now they're drinking beer at gigs, So no, they're very loyal. It's wonderful to, and as you said, as far as communicating with them, we always, when we get together a plan, we are pretty concise about how we want to say something. And it was said to us a long time ago, as far as getting a message across to your audience, it's really important because if you put an album together, there's no throwaway songs. They've got to earn their place to be on that album. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why when we write a song and we pick it to be on that album, we got to make sure it's earned its place and it's very concise and it gets to our audience and they get the picture. And then if it's done its job, they should take that song through their lives.
Yeah. And just, this is a process song, I guess, a process question, I guess, as well, because just with the new song, After the Breakdown, Troy, you were saying it's, you get together, it kind of fell out. And again, that goes to the process that you had earlier in being really clear about what you wanted to say. I don't think you can get to the point of the song just falling out unless you have an established rhythm and an established mission. I know that sounds like a grandiose word, but I think when you have as much of a body of work as you two do together and separately, because you both have a lot of solo work as well, over the years, you've obviously really honed your skills and you know exactly what you're doing, so that when you happen to get together, I suppose it's not really a surprise that a song just falls out, because that's what you're doing.
What it is trial and error. It's about writing heaps of crap songs to know that you got a good one. That's what it's about.
Right.
Yeah, and trust me, we've both done that. We've both written a heap of crap songs as well. And it's fun, but I think like Drew said, years ago we were told, just get to the point. I mean, that might have even been from Adam Brand, I'm not sure, but
right.
because we were out touring with Adam, back early in the day, and he was very just, he gave us a lot of advice on connecting with our audience, and that was one thing he said, is just get to the point. So we, all these metaphoric ideas you can put into your songs to, get people thinking. It's like, no, don't beat around the bush, just get straight to the point. So we really honed in on that as a concept, and that's why it's just like you'll find a light at the end of every tunnel. You'll find this. It's just like straight to the point. You know what I mean? So you don't need to leave them guessing, saying, what the hell are they singing about? So, so when we sat down to write after the breakdown, it was funny because I think a lot of the time Drew and I write the chorus before we even write the verse.
Right.
And I think, because broke don't mean that it can't be fixed, and it ain't going to last forever. So once you sort of come up with a cool chorus, it's like, now you got to write a verse that's just as strong and matches it and obviously supports what you're trying to say in the chorus. So, like Drew said, we've just written a lot of songs, and we've written a lot of songs together. We kind of almost know where each other's going to go when we write a song. And for the whole album that we've just done, we wrote the whole album on Zoom. I was in Nashville and Drew was here, and over a space of probably 6 months, was it, Drew?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we must have written about 40 songs, and we sort of honed it down to our favorite 10. So after the breakdown's the first single, the other 9 have just been recorded in Nashville, and the album's going to come out in August. So we're excited because it's a real mix of everything, Sophie. There's love songs, there's slow songs, there's upbeat songs, there's fun songs and party songs. And did I miss anything, Drew?
No, that's pretty much covered it.
Except I think when you say you wrote 40 songs, your fans are going to think, well, hang on, why are we only getting 10?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have said before is it's hard. You don't want to put any fillers in. There's no room for fillers these days, man. They got to be. If you could treat every song like a single, that's kind of what you got to do these days when you're putting together an album.
Yeah. Yes, because I think that is the new reality, that things go out as singles first, and then if it makes an album, wonderful. But for streaming, it certainly has changed the way you release music.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's really different. Yeah, it's really different, Sophie. I mean, both Drew and I mean, Drew's released some albums. I released an album in 2015, but for me personally, I've just been releasing a single every 2 or 3 months just to sort of try and stay current, because the streaming world, people are just sort of like, they're just going from song to song to song. They don't really stop and focus on anything, So even to record a full album these days isn't really done that often, So
no.
we're kind of excited to be doing a full album, putting that out as a body of work. And I guess your true fans will go and look for that album and hopefully listen to it from start to finish, So all you can do is throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. Well, and just to backtrack a bit to what you were saying about having written a lot of songs to get to the point where you are now, it may have answered the question I had, which is about your melody writing skills, because your songs together and separately, you're both great at melody. And so when you come together, it's a fantastic combination. But I guess learning melody is also a process of writing some songs that didn't work and thinking, okay, that combination's crap, moving on.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when you write enough songs like we have over the years, it's very easy. I find this especially. If I'm sitting down writing a song on my own, I'll just slip back into my melodies. So it's always good to have someone there, and Troy's probably similar, who can direct you to go, okay, well, yeah, we've kind of been there before, so let's try and do something a little bit different.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But we're so used to singing together too. Like it's funny, as soon as one of us starts singing, the other one just jumps straight on the harmony. It's not like we have to practice it. We just know exactly what to do, and even when we wrote this song, I mean, we just, we wrote it in the lounge room at Drew's house, and, and 2 hours later, we're recording it into our phone, singing all the harmonies perfectly. And it's just like, we've just sung together so much that it's not something we practice. And that was kind of the way it was with us from the very start. We started writing songs together in hotel rooms when we were touring together in the Johnny Cash show. And it was Mike Carr who came into the room and said, God, you guys sound good together. You should start a duo, you know. So, you know, but from the very onset, we just always sang good together. And there's just a sound that is Drew and Troy that we don't get on our own. It's just when we get together, it just seems to click, you know. So it's just lucky, I guess.
Well, it must be really comforting to have some years apart and be in different countries and come back together and find that it's almost, I mean, it's a somewhat mystical thing, I guess, how singing works and how harmonies work, but just to feel like you're still flowing in the same currents, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Look, it's not something we just, as Troy said, we just fell back into it. Like it was just a rhythm that we had from day dot, that even though we've had this time apart, we just fell into the rhythm. And I think what's notable to say is that Troy and I had 20 years of solo gigs before we got together. Mm-hmm. So as far as honing our craft, performing live, doing all that, we'd done all that. So when we jumped in together, we were kind of seasoned as far as harmonies go and performing. And it's not like we were 18 and we had to figure it out. So it was an easy match, and it still is, you know. When we got straight back together, we just fell into the same rhythm. It's pretty cool.
And I did actually have a question about how McAlister Kemp started, because I thought, you know, yes, you have established fans, but there'll be some new fans coming because of this song. And Troy, you've just said it was Mike Carr's idea. So does he keep taking credit? You know, every time you see him, is he like, hey, McAlister Kemp?
Oh, you know, Mike's always been very humble about it. Like, he wasn't even the guy that ever walked around and sort of, not to my knowledge, and Mike never walked around saying I was the guy that started McAlister Kemp, you know, like, that's not Mike, you know, like, he just started at me and Drew, you know, back in the day when we were doing that show. And, you know, when he first said it, you know, you guys should do a Brooks and Dunn type thing. We both said, no, Mike, that's a stupid idea. You know, that'll never work, you know. And, but he kept ringing Drew and kept ringing me. And I ended up ringing Drew and saying this. I said, does Mike keep ringing you about this duo idea? And he said, yeah, he does. I said, well, maybe we should give it a go. So that's when we got together and really started to focus on a few songs. And our very first gig was with Adam Brand at the Hexham Bowling Club near Newcastle. And from that gig, Adam took us under his wing, and the rest is history, you know. So it's, can't believe how it turned out. But to this day, you know, Mike has never really blown his own trumpet about it. But hopefully it's something he's proud of in the back of his head, because, you know, we know that we love him for it. So thanks, Mike.
And did you think it was a stupid idea just because you were used to performing solo and you're like, no, I'm not dealing with someone else?
Yeah, I mean, when you're so set in your ways of doing stuff for 20 years, it didn't even enter our heads. It's just not something we ever thought of. But then when we had time to think about the idea, it started with sort of trying to connect the dots, going, hold on, this might work. And then lo and behold, we just wrote more and more songs, and it turned out, just by sheer chance, that we were great writing songs together, I guess, because we'd, again, written lots of songs when we were solo. It just fell into a pattern, and lo and behold, it worked. Who knew?
So I'm wondering now if actually being in McAlister Kemp has turned you into great collaborators with others, because Drew, your name pops up on so many songwriting credits with and for other people. And Troy, you've sung duets, some of my favorite songs in the past few months. One with Emily Hatton, one with Jane Denham. You're popping up as this great duet singer, and I keep thinking Troy Kemp should really release an album of duets with female singers. So I'm wondering whether you think your experience together actually meant that you were really open to these other experiences with other writers and other performances.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's fun to do all that stuff, and you know, we've both worked with other people a lot I mean, I think McAlister Kemp was essentially the first time we'd really dug in hard on duo stuff. Mm-hmm. But off the back of McAlister Kemp, you know, like you said, I've sort of jumped from project to project with different people, and you know, I even did some stuff with Damien from what's his name, Viper Creek Band for a while. We did the Tailgate Drive thing, and Drew was doing what's the brandy thing called, dude?
We did the Outlaws.
The Outlaws.
Dozzy, Tamara Stewart, Celine. I did a few of those as well. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of nice, Sophie, just to be asked by these other artists to collaborate with them and be a part of their songs. And I'm really proud of the stuff I've done with Jane and Emily and Damo. And yeah, I've we've both got stuff all over the place, you know. But I think the real duo is Drew and Troy, you know. So that's got to be the focus. And so we're just, like I said, we're just happy back doing that. You know, we've both been writing a stack of songs, and I've been writing, you know, Drew's been writing a stack for himself and for us and for other people as have I. And I've written 120 songs just in 2021, in Nashville. So many songs are just sitting in a folder on my desktop, waiting to see the light of day. So the thing is, I don't have enough money to record them all. So I need to win the lotto.
And well, Drew, how many songs do you have sitting in a folder? Because I'm pretty sure you write constantly as well.
Yeah, I've got a heap. I've got another solo album coming out in a couple of months, and I had to actually go back and reflect on all the songs and try and find all the songs that I'd stored away and not looked at for a long time to put together this next album. So yeah, it's quite remarkable. There's lots of songs there that you kind of fall in love with, but didn't quite get it right on the day. I've gone back and I've rewritten a couple in the past just to fit them on an album. But yeah, it's kind of, once you write it, you go, okay, either it worked or it didn't, and then you kind of move on. But there's plenty that I've forgotten about. There's plenty that I've lost in computer crashes that I can't ever find again. That's happened twice. So yeah, there's lots out there in the ether somewhere.
Gonna have to back up to the cloud more often.
I know. I haven't made that mistake yet.
Now, the reason you're in Australia is because you were both meant to play a McAlister Kemp show at the Tamworth Country Music Festival. And I have to say, when I heard about the festival being postponed, my first thought was, oh no, McAlister Kemp, Troy's come out from, because I thought, how annoying would that be? Because you hadn't played together for a while. So I guess, yes, how disappointing has it been that you weren't able to play that show?
Well, so first and foremost, we've been in Nashville now for close to 2 years, and and we haven't been able to come home. So, my wife Felicia was just busting to come home and see friends and family, as was I. So, we were booked to come home in January regardless. But the fact that we were coming home during Tamworth meant that we could actually do Tamworth as McAlister Kemp. So, so we're still excited to be back and seeing friends and family and being able to do the stuff. We've just done a video clip for After the Breakdown this week. Had a photo shoot. We've been able to get together and do a few things just to promote upcoming gigs that are coming up and stuff like that. So, but I was really looking forward to Tamworth, and so was Drew. So that was going to be the day was the day of our release of the single as well. So the fact that it fell over does suck, and any money I was going to make out of it was actually going to pay for my flights, which I'm bummed about, because so. Now the flights are just coming off my credit card and I can't pay him back. But that's cool. I'll come back later in the year and hopefully we can make a few bucks and I can pay him back. So it is what it is. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just enjoying being back and having some good coffee and bread and some good food and a lamb roast, and it's been good. And then hanging out with you today.
Well, thank you. I would think if you're tempted to come back towards the end of this year, I can imagine the McAlister Kemp Summer Tour would be welcomed by many, many people.
Well, that's the plan. If everything goes to plan, we plan for success. That's what we've got to do. But there's nothing surprising me these days. But that's what we're planning to do. So Troy's going to come back, and we're going to have a whole bunch of gigs. We'll have a couple more singles out before then as well. So there will be a momentum building, which is going to be good, and the timing should be perfect. Cross our fingers, everything goes to plan.
I mean, I think the two of you are so productive as songwriters. You fit in these recordings. Are you very structured in your day-to-day lives, or do you just kind of go with the flow of whatever comes up creatively and know that you have some studio time here and maybe a photo shoot there, but really just let whatever's going to come up, come up?
Yeah, I mean, you got to. Sorry, Troy. I mean, as far as songwriting goes, I got this philosophy, and I don't write all the time. I used to write all the time, and now I sort of go in bits and pieces. But you've got to plan it and show up. Just plan it and show up, and regardless of what happens that day, at least you were there and you structured it so you were there to give opportunity a chance to work out. I think that's the best thing, is to show up and then see what happens. But if you don't book the writing session, or if you don't book that appointment, with a scatterbrain like I could be sometimes, then nothing gets done. So you just got to book it and show up.
And Troy, what's your method?
I try to wake up and just write something every day. I'm always listening for a cool line that somebody says, or if I hear a line in a movie, or just read a sign somewhere, or I see a funny T-shirt, like whatever it is, I'm writing ideas down in my phone constantly. Obviously living in Nashville, like you go to Nashville to write songs, and I'm performing over there as well, but it's a big songwriting town, so I'm trying to meet some great songwriters to write with. But if I'm not doing that, I'm just trying to sit down every day to write my own song, because in a town like that, you feel like you need to go to bed that night and feel like you've done something, you know, so you feel like you're being productive and you're not wasting your time on the other side of the world. So that's how I think. But I think the best songs are the ones that they just almost fall in your lap, like After the Breakdown kind of did. I feel like it's a weird thing to say, but I feel like songs are just floating around in the universe, just waiting to be plucked by the right person to write them. You know what I mean? It's a strange sort of analogy, but I've always felt that way. Well, that's how I feel about the songs that just feel like they write themselves.
Yeah.
You know what
I don't think that's strange. I think that's true.
Yeah, that's how I feel. You know, I just feel like when all the ideas are just floating around, ready to be plucked, you know, from somewhere magical. But yeah, and it's just a fun thing to do, and you're never going to be a genius at it. You're constantly learning how to be a songwriter. And I don't think in your whole life you could be a genius. You just basically, I think you learn the whole way through the whole journey. You know what I mean? And if you write a great song that connects with people and they love it, and that's all you can really hope for. You know, and we've written enough songs that together, even as Drew and I, that, you know, when you're sitting there singing songs like All Kinds of Tough and Fight Me about kids being bullied and standing up for yourself, and when you see how that affects people, it's just like, feels like, yeah, that's good, job done. You know what I mean? You can be proud of that. And I just want to write songs you can hang your hat on. You know, we both do want to write songs we can hang our hat on and leave a legacy when we're long gone, you know, for other people to hopefully enjoy for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also speaks to the fact that you're ruthless editors of your own work, because to write 40 songs for a new McAlister Kemp project and record 10. And Drew, I suppose this is a question for you now. You must be really, really good at being ruthless, as I said, and they're just looking at that collection going, no. Or is it hard? Is it always hard to edit?
Well, excuse me, it is hard because they're all our babies, if you know what I mean. Because you know, when you sit down with someone, you're pouring out, and sometimes you never even met this person. You're pouring out a lot of emotion. You know, you're really grabbing at stuff to try and dig deep, to try and find something that's going to connect to that audience. So yeah, it's you do have to be ruthless, but you've got to go, okay, you've written enough songs to know, and you've released enough singles to know this one works for a reason. Is this song as good as that last one? Is it going to do its job, or does it not have the bones to stand up? So, but that comes with writing a lot of songs and releasing a lot of singles to know that. So you become more ruthless the older you get, I think. And writing songs for me doesn't get easier. It gets harder because you become more ruthless with what you're prepared to hang your hat on and put your name to. So yeah, it gets harder. And that's probably why I don't write. I used to write all the time. Not a big believer in that anymore. I'm a believer in, if you're finding a great idea or a handful of really, really good ideas, spend more time on those. That's kind of what I do. Whereas Troy is right, in Nashville, you write by a numbers thing. So you write 10 songs a week, you might get one out of that. But I'm a bit more these days. If I find a great idea, I'll spend time on that one.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. So, I mean, in Nashville, it's like what he said, you know, you write 5 songs in a week. You know, sometimes I'm writing, you know, 6 to 7 songs a week, and maybe 2 of them are worth hanging on to. You know what I mean? And you got to be brave enough to let them go and be, you know, and not be too proud to, you know, to realize it's not your best work. You know, I think when you've done as many songs as we have, it's good to get to the point where you just know what's good and what sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of cool, but that's, you know, it didn't quite land with that one. You know what I mean? So we just have to let it go, or we'll stick it in a folder. We'll come back and visit it at a later date. So some of the, you know, the 30 songs that didn't make this album, so if he could be looked at for the next album, you know, or the next 3 albums. So we could be good. You know, you just got to go back and tweak them a bit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always good for people to know about the work behind the work, because you do not get to the point of winning golden guitars as you have by just sort of, you know, toddling along and here we are and we're playing our guitars and we're going to give singing a crack. I mean, there is so much experience behind you both, so much distillation of your skills and knowledge that goes into writing the song, recording the song, and then performing it. So I think this is just asking these questions is my way of basically acknowledging that it never comes from nothing. There is so much behind it, and what we see is that final product, but it's sort of like that's the summit of the mountain, if you know what I mean.
It's very true. And when you think about it, like, I mean, I started writing songs when I was 16. It's either in your blood or it's not. Like Troy and I are what you term as lifers. Like, we don't really do anything else. Obviously COVID stopped that, and I've got a day job mowing lawns, and so do a lot of my friends here. But generally speaking, we've never done anything else. We write songs and we perform, and we're lucky enough to be able to have done that for the last 25, 30 years. So hopefully we get to continue that once COVID goes away.
Yes. Well, I really think audiences are just, as soon as we think we're in the clear to go to things, everyone will be running, literally running. But I've had you talking for quite a while, and I'm sure you have some other people to speak to today. So I'm going to thank you both very much, Drew McAlister, Troy Kemp, McAlister Kemp. The new song is After the Breakdown. It's fabulous. As I said, your fans will be very, very happy. And I can't wait to hear your next songs.
Thank you, Sophie. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
We have you.
Thanks, Sophie. A wonderful interview. You're amazing. And we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.